Stephanie Jenkins is spiraling. And this time, she's not even trying to hide it. No cryptic quotes or passive-aggressive reposts. Nope. This meltdown is loud, messy, and playing out in real time for all of us to watch, like it's the season finale of a show we didn't even know we were subscribed to.
Stephanie leaves Atlas outside alone. Yes, y'all, I've been tagged in the video of Atlas outside by himself multiple times this morning, and to me, it looked very strange. So I looked up the address, which I'm not going to show, but I looked it up, and it is a Google image of Atlas outside behind the car with the door open at the motel. Just to show it, so see April 2025, and obviously different time frame later, but so this is not some weirdo. Interesting that you guys figured it out, but
the red flags have been piling up for months, but now it's undeniable. The drama has spilled all the way into the open.
It's not like some weirdo filming them or whatever. It's genuinely just the car drove by and happened to catch this. But Stephanie, what's Atlas doing up by himself? Even if you're watching him with the door open, girl, how quick could somebody just walk up and take him? This is not safe. But anyway, I just wanted to clear this up since everybody's panicking about who's filming them and whatever. It's Google. It's Google filming them.
And at the center of it all is the man she still insists on calling her king, Drew Jenkins. Let's talk about this king for a second. Drew is somehow both silent and chaotic. The kind of man who vanishes when responsibility comes knocking, but leaves behind enough wreckage to fuel 5 gossip blogs. And now, it's official. There's a literal arrest warrant out for him. Public record. Not a rumor. This man skipped out on a court hearing for child support, like it was just another boring appointment on his calendar.
But how crazy to get caught not watching your child by a Google Maps car. Like, man, y'all are batting 1,000. Also, look at their nice car. No, it's not brand new, but still, 2019 Jetta houses or seats 5 people, but there's 7 of them. Cute car, right? Way cuter than my 03 Durango, just saying.
So you'd think maybe Stephanie would take this opportunity to reflect, recalibrate, or at the very least, keep quiet. But no. She went with her usual defense mechanism: deny, deflect, and distract.
Car, that's cool. Well, cops most definitely already know where we're at. There's already been a couple times. Like, I think I mentioned this in one of my voiceovers. They've been here a couple of times just because people were weird when we first got in the motel situation and called. So they know where to find him if they want him. But I don't think that's quite how a bench warrant works.
Only this time, her tactic wasn't just tone deaf, it was next level bizarre. Instead of addressing Drew's legal drama or offering any kind of statement, Stephanie dropped a dramatic video that had everyone doing a double take.
That's all I'll say about that. That's hilarious for you to assume that me saying one thing about your comment is just gonna, poof, people will be nicer to us. Yeah, right. Gotta love when my hubby's ex's comment warriors are in my comments.
Picture this. She's holding her baby under one arm like a clutch purse, her other hand cradling her belly in a pose that screamed, "soft launch." The camera's locked in on her midsection. Her outfit perfectly frames a noticeably rounded stomach, and her toddler wanders the background for added maternal effect. To the average viewer, it looked like baby number 4 or 5. Honestly, we've lost count. Social media lit up. Is she pregnant again? Flooded the comment sections. But just as everyone was scrambling to process this timing, given Drew's whole arrest warrant situation, Stephanie lifts her shirt, gives her stomach a playful smack, and laughs. "It's just my ha," she says, beaming, followed by a smug little gotcha.
Literally playing. Just bloated with a hernia. Gotcha.
She really did that. In the middle of her man being dragged by the courts and the internet, she staged a fake pregnancy reveal as a joke. If it sounds unhinged, that's because it is.
What about ever doing to that girl? Anyways, I'm gonna go back to just responding to supporters and kind people. Haters can stick around if you want, but you will be ignored.
Let me get this straight, Stephanie. Let's address the elephant in the motel room since you won't. Why is your toddler outside, unattended, by a car, by himself? This is Atlas, and this is the Jetta that they have. It's a 2019. Now, I don't know about y'all, but this is crazy. And the fact that the Google Maps car caught him outside is crazier.
People are furious, confused, embarrassed for her. What was supposed to be a silly prank landed like a desperate cry for attention, or worse, an intentional distraction from the very real legal mess looming over her family.
Also, Stephanie, when I get on here and start clocking your ass, I got motherfucking proof. I got screenshots, girl. Your mother was just on live with me the other night telling me all types of shit. I want to know why, Stephanie, you took Deshaun from his mom and never gave him back. You want to get on here and hee ha ha about some shit whole time. You are in the trenches, boo. You need to leave that man and get up out the trenches, baby. Because getting on here and trying to go back and forth with me is going to have your ass crashing the fuck out. I promise, on my kids and on my mother. Trying to take the heat off of you and trying to put it on me is real crazy, boo.
And at the end of the day, it's not just about the prank, it's about what it represents. Stephanie's still clinging to the fantasy that Drew is some misunderstood king, when all signs point to reckless, selfish behavior. Her followers are watching, her critics are circling, and her children are growing up in the middle of this public chaos. So if this was meant to be funny, it missed the mark. If it was meant to distract, it only made things worse. And if it was meant to prove she's unbothered, well, the internet's not buying it.
So let me get this straight, y'all. Drew didn't show up to court and now he got a warrant out for his arrest. Yup. So if y'all are not all caught up, Drew owes hella money and child support to Arlita, and she took him to court and he never showed up. But she thinks that she saw Stephanie, but she's not 100% sure. But Drew was nowhere to be found.
Stephanie, in classic form, stayed silent. Not a word. Not a denial. Nothing. Until now. And the timing? Oh, it's giving calculated distraction, not random coincidence. Let's be real, this wasn't about cracking jokes or being silly. This was a classic Stephanie smokescreen.
But y'all know how Stephanie is about her King Daddy Drew. She's gonna hide him away in another motel somewhere in the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn. And since he didn't show up to court, that's gonna look really good when Desiree files for emergency custody for her son. Because let's say that Drew gets caught and goes to jail. Do y'all think that they're gonna leave Deshaun with Stephanie? No. You're going to jail. Like, damn, what is Stephanie gonna do when Drew can't work his 9 to PS5 no more? Soon we're gonna be seeing videos, free my King Daddy Drew, free my King Daddy Drew.
Every time the spotlight turns scorching hot, she pulls the same stunt. Toss a shiny, chaotic new storyline into the mix to get people talking about anything other than the real issue. And this time, that issue is a whole arrest warrant with Drew's name on it. We're not talking about petty internet drama here. This is a court-ordered situation.
So let me get this straight. You also think that it's okay to let your kids sleep right next to the kitchen? This is a family of 5 living in a 1-bedroom apartment. And yes, those are bunk beds behind me. And I don't know what's worse, having your kids sleeping next to the kitchen or making fun of your own kids for sleeping next to the kitchen. So as you can see here, this is the little setup, and I will say it's clean, it's cute, yeah, whatever.
Drew skipped his child support hearing. That's not trolling. That's not haters making stuff up. That's real-world consequences with legal and ethical weight. Stephanie knew the backlash was coming, and instead of facing it, she threw out some pregnancy bait. And let's be honest, it kind of worked. Her comments blew up. Wait, are you pregnant again?
What is this, and why are you literally making fun of your children? Like, genuinely, what is this? And then here comes Stephanie talking about some, my goodness, this is the most relatable clip I've come across in a while. Bunk bed right next to the kitchen. Y'all get it. I'm sorry, but what is it with y'all and this fascination of your children sleeping in the kitchen? Then the adults taking the bedroom with the babies. Like, I could confidently say that if I were to live in a 1-bedroom apartment, I would give my children the bedroom. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts, like no questions asked and nothing, no arguments and nothing.
Another one already? Didn't your doctor say no more babies? Just like that, the internet stopped talking about Drew's legal troubles and started speculating about Stephanie's stomach. A classic misdirection, and she's pulled it off before. When people said Drew was lazy, she called it not wanting to work your life away.
Y'all, this man went live tonight on TikTok. No W2 Mr. 9 to PS5 himself goes live on TikTok after 11 p.m. when the children are all trying to sleep. The baby's crying in the background multiple times. He keeps muting. He's not addressing anybody, but then he says that he doesn't have a real warrant. Yes, you do. And he says that his license is not suspended. Yes, it is. And then he just argues with people, mutes, says ridiculous stuff, mutes. Stephanie's in there under other accounts being like, going after everybody. Like, girl, we know it's you. Chill out. You're even gifting him? Yeah, it's you. And then we're all in there, free Deshaun, like the whole chat for like 5 minutes. Free Deshaun, free Deshaun.
When folks noticed he never lifted a finger around the house, she claimed we only saw her side of things. When rumors swirled that he was faking seizures, she brushed it off as him not feeling well. And when his exes aired him out, she clapped back hard. One was a child abandoner, the other just jealous. Time and time again, Stephanie steps in as the ride-or-die defender, spinning every scandal into a sympathy card. But this time, her defense was a literal haw.
And then he's like, this chat is so boring. I'm getting off. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Maybe you should go turn yourself in. Maybe you should do that. Or, I don't know, apply for jobs or, I don't know, go to sleep. It's fucking late. Like, I cannot imagine. I would not be live on TikTok late at night if I didn't have my own room where I could close a door so my children could sleep. Like, sir, what are you doing? Absolutely ridiculous. But yes, Drew does have a warrant. And Portland police stated that if they catch him, they will absolutely arrest him.
A belly slap and a gotcha. That's the play. And while she might have fooled some, most people see it for what it is. Another messy cover-up in a saga that's starting to look less like real life and more like a toxic reality show with no end in sight.
Well, no, they're not going to break the door down. It's not like a felony warrant like that. It is a warrant, and you do not have a license right now. So go ahead, go out and drive, and we'll see what happens. We have people watching the jail roster. We will know as soon as he is arrested because it's public information. And once he is, if it's before the 28th, Desiree will go get her son because that's what we're all here for, right? Is for Deshaun to go home and for these kids to have a better life. And Stephanie, this should be a wake-up call for you. I really hope that you get your shit together. I really do. For these kids' sake. Because if not, I don't know how much more you guys can keep doing this.
The saddest part in all of this? Stephanie Jenkins didn't start out like this. She wasn't always the TikTok mom wrapped in drama, fishing for validation from strangers, or making headlines for chaotic parenting decisions. Before Drew, she was different. She had jobs, real jobs. She worked long shifts, sometimes juggling more than one. She was tired, sure, but she kept showing up. She knew the hustle, she knew the grind, and most importantly, she knew what it meant to be a mom. Not just for the cute Instagram moments, but for the real stuff.
Stephanie Jenkins, so you mean to tell me that there is no way that you have a favorite when in reality, look at this birthday card. Whose name do you see that is missing? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with Krayshawn. If you didn't know, yesterday was her middle daughter's birthday, and she had such a big birthday compared to Deshaun. Let's get into it. First of all, Miss Stephanie Thompson over here planned all of her gifts in advance. She didn't go to the store and pick them out last minute like she did for Deshaun.
The scraped knees, the missed meals, the late night budgeting to make rent. She showed up. Back then, she talked about building a future, a steady home, a peaceful life. Her goals were simple, but they were rooted in love. Wanting more for her kids than she ever had. She cooked homemade lunches, stretched every dollar, and dreamed of stability. But then Drew walked in, and everything shifted.
No, she ordered these well in advance from Amazon, I presume, but then she goes and she decorates the whole motel. Now, if you don't remember, she only decorated Deshaun's bunk bed, which was kind of sad looking, and of course, cute little Deshaun was just happy and excited to get anything. So how are you going to tell us that you don't have a preference? I mean, you got her little number birthday thing, and I believe it's called a Mylar balloon. You got her some gifts, you decorated the motel, and you wished her a happy birthday. That's something that you did not do with Deshaun. All you did was decorate his bunk bed, give him a couple gifts, and then you gave him some slides and said happy birthday. And that was it. Oh yeah, his sister ate his cupcakes that he brought from school.
Suddenly, the focus wasn't on the future. It was on surviving the chaos. And the saddest part? She invited that storm herself. Now, drama is the brand. TikTok beef is income. Controversy, it's currency. Her kids, once her whole world, have been sidelined, reduced to props in the never-ending reality show of Stephanie and Drew. Every valid concern from the public gets dismissed as hate. Every thoughtful comment is met with, "You're just jealous." It's no longer motherhood, it's performance.
Do you want to know why these children blank stare all the time? They're exhausted. They have a newborn baby in a family of 7 room. Not even a room for a family of 7. They have a baby with 7 people in the room. None of these kids are getting sleep. No one's getting sleep. I bet Drew can sleep through the crying. I have a feeling he can sleep through it. None of these kids are getting sleep. They're exhausted. They're probably sleeping at school.
And what does she get in return? Nothing? No loyalty? No backup? Just silence. Drew hides when it gets hard. He lets her take all the hits, all the blame, all the heat. She goes to war for him while he stays quiet, watching from the sidelines. That's the real tragedy here. Stephanie is unraveling, not in private, not quietly, but in real time. On live streams, in posts, in TikToks. And Drew, he's letting her burn for battles he started.
Of course they're easy to contain and get to do stuff because they're tired. I feel bad if my kid doesn't get 10 hours of sleep because I know she's going to be tired all day the next day. These kids are being woken up every time that baby wakes up. And there's just... I know that Stephanie has showed us where everyone sleeps, but where does everyone sleep? Because it's got to be crazy in there. You can't tell me 7 people lay down at night and fall asleep together. I have a hard time when we go on vacation, 3 people falling asleep in the same room when lights are out.
So, here we are. It's official. Drew Jenkins now has an active arrest warrant out of Oregon. And this time, there's no spin left, no more excuses, no last-minute TikTok lives or crocodile tears to shift the narrative. Drew blew it, not just for himself, but for everyone around him. This isn't some little mistake you can brush off. This is a full-blown legal crisis, one that could land him in jail, rattle his family, and possibly spark a long-overdue custody shift when it comes to his 12-year-old son, Deshaun. So let's break this all the way down.
You guys, Drew has a warrant out for his arrest, and we've got to get into this. So the warrant was issued today, and the reasoning for him having a warrant is actually kind of funny. So it is cite to appear warrant, so that means he didn't show up to the court case that he needed to show up for. And it's so funny because Stephanie is always out here talking about how Drew always shows up to his court days, blah 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 blah. Yet he didn't show up, and he has a warrant now because he didn't show up. I'm just waiting for her response because I'm just trying to see if she's going to point it to us or to his baby mamas.
Back in early April, Drew was officially notified, not some random DM or misheard rumor, about a major court hearing scheduled for May. This wasn't a pop quiz. It was a formal legal notice tied to a serious issue, his failure to pay child support. And this wasn't just any child support case. This was about his own son, Deshaun, with his ex, Arita. The stakes couldn't have been higher. A father being called to the table to answer for neglecting his responsibilities. But instead of doing the bare minimum, like walking into court and facing it like a grown man, Drew decided to ghost. No lawyer, no phone call, no statement, nothing.
Because we all know she can't take accountability for hers or Drew's actions. Now, Drew, honey, I hope you don't get too comfortable in that bed because you gonna have to visit jail. You gonna upgrade from ants to cockroaches. You know, this may actually be good for him and made for him because he doesn't want to pay rent anyways. He refuses to take care of his family and to get a home for his kids or himself. So somebody providing a roof, like the jail, is actually perfect for him. But in all seriousness, I'm glad he's getting consequences because he does not get to get away with things and nothing happen. Especially with what they are doing to those kids. But as always, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments.
He flat out ignored the legal system that had already bent over backwards, giving him chance after chance. It's like he thought he was untouchable. Like the rules just didn't apply to him. Well, under Oregon law, that kind of arrogance has consequences. Failing to appear in court when you've been legally summoned is a crime, specifically a Class A misdemeanor. That's not a slap on the wrist, it's jail time. We're talking up to 1 year behind bars or fines up to $6,250. And let's be clear, Drew isn't walking into this with a clean slate.
Drew Jenkins has a warrant out for his arrest, and call me what you want, but there's something just really satisfying about that. What's crazy is as nosy as I am, I didn't even know they had court the other day. But he didn't show, so I just know we can expect a crash out any second from Miss Stephanie, who we all know was going to be his get out of jail free card. Like, we know that. But I do have a genuine question, and I really hope someone can answer this for me. Someone who actually works in the system or is familiar with how things work in family court in Oregon. Say they do come and pick Drew up.
Let's not forget, this isn't Drew's first run-in with the court. Back in March, he was already found in contempt for lying about his employment and refusing to pay child support. That strike was already on his record. So when May came around and he no-showed again, with zero explanation, the court didn't play games. They didn't issue a friendly reminder. They didn't offer another extension. They issued a warrant. On the spot. And now, Drew Jenkins is officially a wanted man. The law isn't wondering where he is. It's looking for him.
Drew does not have official custody of Deshaun. Neither does his mom, Desiree. So what happens when they do come and pick Drew up? Do they take Deshaun too, or do they leave him with Stephanie? Or would he automatically go back to Desiree, or would he be put in the system somewhere? I really want to know the answer to that question. You can save the comments telling me that I'm in other people's business, because I know. Either way, I don't care how you feel. Deshaun needs to go back to his mom. That's it, and that's all. And another question I have is, do they actually go and pick you up for those type of warrants, or do you just kind of have to be like caught in the wrong place at the wrong time or turn yourself in? Genuinely curious. Again, I know it's not my business.
Unless something drastic happens, and fast, he's going to jail. And this time, there might not be an easy way out. Let's walk through how this plays out. Now that the warrant is active, it's only a matter of time. The second law enforcement catches up with Drew, there's no TikTok Live, no pit stop at home, no last-minute goodbye video. He's going straight into custody. That means no more motel lounging, no more dramatics on social media, no more dodging accountability. He'll be sitting behind bars, waiting on a judge to decide if and when he gets out.
You know, I really want to know, what do Stephanie and Drew at this point gain by keeping Deshaun? Why don't they just give him back to his mom, or at least have some split custody? I do not understand what is there to gain at this point. Drew, you had him because you got benefits, you got housing. Because of him, you lost that housing. Stephanie, what are you trying to prove a point? Who are you trying to prove a point to? Because it's very clear that he's the least favorite. It's very clear that he's being mistreated. It's very freaking clear that he is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to those kids. Especially when I see the difference in the birthday treatment, how she treated her daughter and treated him, the difference in the presents, and then even the fucking decorations.
And here's where things go from bad to worse. Missing that court date? That wasn't just irresponsible. It triggered a second contempt of court charge. That's 2 strikes now, one for lying about his job, and now one for skipping court entirely. And when the court looks at that record, they're not seeing someone who's struggling. They're not seeing a misunderstood guy down on his luck. They're seeing a pattern. A man who manipulates the system, who ignores legal orders, who acts like the rules are beneath him. This isn't just about being broke. This is about blatant defiance. And the court? They're finally done giving Drew Jenkins free passes.
It is one less mouth to feed, one less body to clothe, one less child to worry about in this horrible situation that they got themselves in willingly. Then Stephanie loves to preface any sort of accusations or questions about the children and their treatment and their behavior and how they are faring with, oh, all the kids are happy, healthy, we're a tight-knit, close family, they're siblings, they all love each other, they don't want to be taken from each other. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, are you sure about that? Because I just saw a creator who had screenshot one of the notes that was given to her daughter from one of the kids, I'm kind of thinking it's Deshaun, for her birthday. And the note said, I hate your birthday because I feel lonely.
Let's be clear, Drew doesn't have a job. He's never paid a single cent in child support. Not one. And now, with an active arrest warrant and a stack of legal violations behind him, jail time isn't a possibility anymore. It's basically inevitable. Depending on how the court interprets his non-stop defiance, Drew could be facing weeks, maybe even months behind bars. And let's not forget, bail costs money. And if there's one thing Drew consistently doesn't have, it's money.
And I'm sitting here and I'm like, these kids aren't happy. They're not healthy. You're only close-knit and a tight family because you have no choice, because you're all up under each other. They've been living in one room with each other for years. They have no space, no room to grow, no privacy, no nothing. They don't have a choice whether to not be happy or healthy. Those kids are trauma bonded. They're literally getting drugged through trauma right now. And I feel bad for them, but I feel the worst for Deshaun because he receives the worst out of all of them. He is the most mistreated, and he needs to be back with his mother.
So unless someone suddenly steps up with the cash to post bail, he's staying locked up. Period. The legal system is closing in, and the only question left is, who's actually willing to save him from the mess he created?
So Stephanie from the Resilient Jenkins has confirmed that the family has indeed been evicted and they must be out in less than a month. And her way of dealing with this situation is coming onto TikTok to make a passive-aggressive video calling out all the content creators, more specifically, not by name, but Morgan, for their criticism of her lifestyle and her content. Now, here's the thing. What I don't feel like Stephanie understands that with becoming a content creator, you will face criticism, you will face haters, you will face trolls. That is the name of the game. I even deal with that as a very small creator.
That brings us to Stephanie. Yep, that's Stephanie. The one who's been Drew's loudest cheerleader online. Every time he slips up, who's in the comments defending him? Stephanie. Every bad decision, every shady TikTok live, every courtroom no-show, she's right there, ready to spin it all into some tragic, misunderstood love story.
She has been begging and praying to go viral for years now so that she can change her family's living situation. And now that she has, she cannot handle the heat with what comes from being a larger creator and going viral and the internet. She has exploited her family's whole life for $1, which is one of the reasons as to why they're being evicted in the first place. Her decision to exploit her family's living conditions and try to monetize off it has put a spotlight on the fact that Drew has attained government housing for only him and his son. It did not include 5 other people. So therefore, you're abusing government benefits, which led to the eviction, along with non-payment, which I'm not understanding the non-payment part because what are you doing with your social media money?
She stood by him through it all. She's called him her king, with the kind of devotion that makes people wonder, is this love or full-blown denial? But here's where it gets messy. Stephanie wasn't some clueless bystander. She knew about the court date. It wasn't a surprise. It wasn't vague. It was a legal obligation. And yet, she didn't encourage him to show up. She didn't tell him, go do right by your son. She didn't push him to take responsibility. Not once.
And in my opinion, all those people in her comments that say she's a good mom, I have to disagree because I don't consider a good mom somebody that lays up with a man that refuses to get a W-2 job because they have back child support and they are a deadbeat dad to another child. I don't understand how that's being a good mother. It's okay for him to take care of your children, but forget about his other son that he hasn't seen in years and he has not given a dime to that mother. That's such a great mom. But anyways, comment your thoughts below. I want to hear what you have to say about this situation. I'm interested to see where they're going to end up. I really hope and pray for the sake of the kids that they end up somewhere better than this situation. And the kids are nowhere near the front door. They're not sleeping in the kitchen. They have beds. I really hope that they do better by these children.
And now we have to ask, why? Was it fear? Was she scared of what might come out in court? Or, more disturbingly, were they working together to once again dodge consequences? Because let's not pretend this is new behavior. Let's rewind to Drew's last court mess. Remember what happened? Just before he was supposed to appear, boom, a mysterious seizure. Total coincidence, right? And who broke that news to the world? Stephanie. She was front and center on TikTok, giving a 10-minute dramatic monologue about how her king was too sick, too fragile, too delicate to even think about walking into court. And now, history's repeating itself.
Stephanie Jenkins is giving us health advice, you guys. Basically, she posted this on Facebook, and she is trying to tell everybody, and that is in her audience, how eating, junk food and eating candy and food that has red dye and it's processed is bad for you. Don't get me wrong, it is. But she wants to go a step further and talk about gluten-free and talk about cage-free. You know who should be cage-free? Do you? Do you know who should be cage free? How about resilient Jenkins Drew? How about Drew Jenkins? When he comes up late because he doesn't get a job, and so he no longer is available to be out in the pasture because now he has to be behind a cage because he has to go to jail for not paying child support.
But even Stephanie's own audience wasn't buying it. Her comments section flooded with doubt and side eyes. People weren't falling for the "my man is sick again" routine. And now, the judge probably feels the same way. Fed up, unmoved, and ready to act. Here's the bottom line. If Stephanie really wants to help Drew, she's going to have to do a lot more than cry on TikTok.
Yeah, worry about those. How about those potatoes? Then she wants to talk about how if you drink energy drinks, then you are putting toxins into your body. Yes, Stephanie, but you know what? Some of us need those toxins because we work plus 12 hours. We don't get to just sit on the couch and make babies, post a couple of TikToks, and then just chill and have the government take care of us. We don't have that option. Our work ethic doesn't let us. Our pride doesn't let us. So how about you go get a job and then come back to me, sis, okay? You pay for your groceries and then come back to me, sis, okay?
If he gets arrested, and let's be honest, it's not an if anymore, she'll need to come up with actual bail money. And that money's not coming from thin air. It's coming straight from her TikTok check, the same one she uses to support her kids and pay her bills, while Drew lounges around doing absolutely nothing. And it gets riskier. If Drew somehow gets out on bail and pulls another no-show stunt, that money, gone. Vanished. Wasted. Thrown into the trash to protect a man who's proven, time and time again, that he has no intention of taking responsibility. It's a pattern. A losing game.
So I usually scroll past you guys' stuff. I scroll past the duets and the stitches because what? But this time the Jenkins has finally got their get back. I don't know what in the hairy rat's tail balls is wrong with this specific creator on this app, and I gave her a little bit of attention once before, but I couldn't. The queen, the actual queen of doing this stuff, is now the pot that kettles the kettle black, or whatever that saying is, or whatever.
And Stephanie keeps betting on it, hoping this time will be different. But it never is. And the saddest part, it didn't have to be this way. Had Drew just shown up in court, even broke, even unemployed, things could have gone differently. Oregon's legal system isn't heartless. They have programs designed for struggling parents, especially those behind on child support. The court could have referred him to employment resources, training programs, even helped him set up a reasonable payment plan based on what he could actually afford. It wouldn't have been some miracle fix, but it would have been a start, a step forward, a chance to show the court and his son that he was trying. Instead, he gave them nothing, not even an appearance.
You don't think I ever see your little day in the life with me, or your little come cook this meal, or your little Ouija board videos? I see them. They pop up on my timeline sometimes, but it's just like, it's a little bit funny that you do all this smack talking about me and my king daddy Drew. But now that the script has been flipped, because that's what's happening. Now you're crying. I thought it was just so funny, you guys, because like, what? What? She thought. I always say karma comes around and they bite you in the resilient Jenkins is out on top this time because we resilient.
And that's where this story hits its most heartbreaking point. Arita, his ex and the mother of his 12-year-old son, actually believed he showed up. She had so much faith left in Drew that when she saw someone walk into the courthouse who looked like Stephanie, she thought maybe, just maybe, Drew was finally ready to show up for his kid. She thought he was finally ready to be a father, but he wasn't. It was just another illusion, another performance, more smoke and mirrors from a man who has made excuses his entire personality. And instead of taking a chance at redemption, Drew went completely silent.
This message is for Stephanie Jenkins. So you think you're a good mom, right? We'll give credit where credit is due, and you cook some pretty good food, okay? And you do it with very minimal tools and utensils and space. Other than that, Stephanie, you need to realize that the internet, where you're making your money right now, is forever. Even if you delete the video, it will stay and live on the internet forever. I know that social media is a legitimate way to earn income. I get it.
But here's the thing. When it comes to court, silence doesn't buy you time. It buys you trouble. Big trouble. The system doesn't wait for people to get their act together. It doesn't reward avoidance. It punishes it. Harshly.
And I get wanting to be a stay-at-home mom and be able to be there with your kids and be the one raising your kids. I get it. I would love to be able to do that too. You're throwing your kids under the bus to get that check. Mark my words, Stephanie. These kids are going to grow up one day, and they are going to hate that their most vulnerable times, their most embarrassing times of their childhood, is displayed all over the internet for everybody to talk about. You say that they want to be in your videos now and that they consent. They're not even old enough to know what that means. They're not old enough to know the repercussions 10, 15, 20 years from now. These kids are going through a really hard time in their lives right now. You are furthering that by blasting this all over the internet. You're throwing them under the bus to get that check. Stephanie, you need to do better. At the very least, switch up your content so that it is not centered around your children. Because I promise you, there will become a time later on in life that your kids resent you and despise you for this. Do better, Stephanie Jenkins.
And now, Drew is about to find out exactly what that punishment looks like. The hard way. Behind bars, broke, alone. And, at this point, out of excuses. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Drew deserves jail time? Is this finally Desiree's moment to reclaim her child? Should Stephanie continue defending a man who refuses to defend himself? Like, share, and subscribe. Because trust me, this story is only just beginning.